Hey guys, welcome to the Player 3 podcast,
where we discuss our favorite topics.
From video games to philosophy.
where we argue over what's good and bad.
Degrade and rank each other.
And have a great time with friends. Enjoy!
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Player 3 podcast. And today we're discussing a childhood classic of me, John, and many other kids, Kingdom Hearts. So,
I thought you were going to say Super Smash Brothers.
that's another one. So, do we want to just get right into it?
On the way. That's on the way for sure.
We'll see. Yeah.
So, a little bit of backstory. John and I have been playing Kingdom Hearts since 1. I remember he had it first, and I actually think he sold it, but I played it at his house, and I kind of got hooked, and I got the second one before playing through the first. And that was very confusing. It's a very confusing story.
Yeah.
So, and it's been kind of a wild ride.
So here's the thing. I introduced you to it, Ryan. Have I ever told you how I was introduced to it?
No.
Okay. So, so I was being babysat by a neighbor, and the neighbor's brother was playing this game on PlayStation 2 called Kingdom Hearts 1. And, I was like, maybe I'll give it a shot. I have a PS2. So I bought it, tried it, introduced it to you.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
For context for our audience, I was 4 when the game came out, like young. So
I think I was
what year did it come out?
2001.
Oh, it was 2001. Was it? Oh, jeez.
It was okay.
It was.
There's a reason we're confused. 2001 in Japan, 2002 in America.
Yeah.
We know what month in 2002?
I think like March.
Okay, so I've been about 3 months old.
Yeah. Because this is back in the days when America and Japan and Europe had different release dates, physical hardware and such.
Like today.
So yeah, yeah, mostly unlike today. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And so Dylan has been hearing about this series from us for a lot of his life.
Years.
We've been shoving it down his throat.
It feels like 20 years.
We've been shoving it down his throat like crazy.
Oh my god.
But he has not really experienced the series.
No.
He's experienced
a little bit,
quite a bit of KH1. Not the ending, but yes.
So I've tried, and honestly, I've tried to start playing it a couple of times, and the reason that I stop is it's really not because I get bored of it or that I really don't like it. It's more so just like, okay, I'm just gonna stop playing for today, and I've never had the urge to be like, I'm thinking all day like, oh man, I'm gonna go play Kingdom Hearts when I get. It was never like that for me in high school. I was more into like first person shooters and stuff like that all throughout middle school and high school. That was more my lane. And then these last couple of years, I really have just sort of transitioned into playing like more competitive style games. Rocket League being one of them, probably the main one. And for a while there, for 2 years there, Fortnite was the king. So I was busy doing that literally for 2 years straight. So I wouldn't say it's prime, Kingdom Hearts prime, but these more recent years where I've been a little more video game intelligent or self-aware, I guess, I just haven't really gotten into it. But I have started Kingdom Hearts 1 a couple of times. I would say I've put about maybe, into each gameplay or, playthrough, probably about 5 hours and stopped right about there. I don't know how long the game should take if you play it at an average pace to completion. You guys can talk about that probably, but I've probably put in about 6 hours, 5-6 hours. So that's where I'm at right now. So yeah, very limited knowledge, but that is not a problem because we got some cool stuff planned for tonight.
I can actually check and see. So I did a playthrough of Kingdom Hearts 1 on Twitch like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember anymore.
Yeah. So I actually know this off the top of my head that there is an achievement for doing it under 26 hours. That is fast. That's a little fast. Not like speedrunner super high fast, but it's a little speedy.
I mean, do you want to hear? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say 30 is more typical, but I grind. I have this bad habit in RPGs where I love feeling overpowered, so I grind, and I love the process of grinding. Kingdom Hearts 1 would take me 40 hours because I'm just weird like that. So hit us with your number.
So this is what I got on my playthrough of Kingdom Hearts 1. Mind you, it includes a final part where I like look at glitches throughout the game. And if either of you are interested in watching that, I can show it to you later. But I got, where was it? I just had it.
So, Ryan,
14 hours, sorry.
14 hours? Wow. Okay.
14 and a half hours of streaming the game. So
Okay,
yeah.
that is not grinding. I grinded probably between
On
parts.
camera.
Yeah. That's
You
just
might
like
have,
playing the
gummy ship
game.
or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what were you gonna ask?
So, what difficulty are you guys playing on before we really get into it? When you say 40 because you grind, and John, you did about 15, probably maybe 18 total with the off stream stuff, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe 18, 20 maybe.
So between 20 and 40, depending on how in depth you want to go. So what difficulty are we playing on?
I typically play proud, or critical.
For me, it depends on the specific game. Kingdom Hearts 1, I usually do beginner or standard. Kingdom Hearts 2, I can probably do standard or proud. Kingdom Hearts 3, probably the same as Kingdom Hearts 2, standard or proud.
Yeah, and I want to introduce.
The only reason I say that Kingdom Hearts 1 is beginner is because, comparably speaking, it is more difficult than other entries in the franchise.
Yeah, so for context for the audience, there's a beginner mode, which is obviously going to be the easiest. There's standard, there's proud, and then there's critical. Sometimes a game won't have proud or won't have critical. Some games have all 4 options. Every game has standard and beginner.
Sometimes you have to unlock critical mode by playing the game one time first on any difficulty.
Yeah. So typically the way I do it is I like play through and I get the story moments and character moments on standard, and then I go back and challenge myself on critical. And even on Kingdom Hearts 2, I have a level 1 critical run where I don't level up, and that is
insanity.
A challenge, but fun.
Yeah.
Well, and it also stops my incessant need to grind.
I do also have my playtime for Kingdom Hearts 2. If you're interested. Okay.
We can get to that.
We'll focus on KH1 for now.
So, you're a bit into the game. You've experienced the intro and everything. So what do you think of it? What are your thoughts?
All right, so from the very beginning, obviously you can tell that it's going to be pretty story driven. KH1 starts you out with the combat tutorial, and shortly after that, of course, you pick your, I don't know what you call it. It's not a class, I guess, but it's
your build, or
okay, so
I guess your focus.
Yeah. So from there, I transitioned to Destiny Islands. There's a whole bunch of stuff from there. So I would say, I like. It feels. I played the remaster version, but it feels a little awkward. Some of the gameplay feels a little awkward. I really am not a gigantic fan of the camera. That's one of the things that I really I kind of take issue with. I can look past that. It's not a super big deal, but that is something that I don't typically enjoy when I've started these things once or twice. But overall, I think that the combat is fun. I know that, of course, I'm very, very early in the game. Still have trouble trying to make heads or tails of what is going on narrative-wise, story-wise. It's kind
meant
of
to be mysterious.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I'm not gonna take that away from it. Just where I'm at in the game, that's kind of what it's looking like. It's fine. Like I said in the intro, it's not that I don't like it, that I stop playing. I just don't ever have that urge.
Time.
Yeah, it hasn't. Well, it hasn't even. But it hasn't really hooked me. Hooked me yet. And
Right,
maybe I do need to
right.
grind through the next couple hours.
Yeah.
You know. And the thing is, I've also dabbled in a little bit of KH2 boss fights. Played KH3 because I wanted to see what it looked like, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's just I'm so early in it that it's hard to make a first impression. Other than, don't really enjoy the camera movement too much, and the combat is fun. It feels pretty grounded. I don't feel like, and maybe it's part that I don't have like my abilities upgraded yet, but I also feel like I watch some gameplay, I watch you guys play, and during combat we're floating literally, like we're just comboing stuff up and into a million hits. To me, I still feel very grounded. One thing I just thing I thought about too is it's really dark. Like the game is just dark, and I've tried turning up the brightness, but like I'm at Destiny Islands, and even Destiny Islands, I'm like, it's kind of dark. It's kind of hard to see what's going on. So I don't know if that's an issue you guys experience, or it's maybe something on my end, but
I mean,
I've tried turning the brightness up, keeping it at middle. It's just, I don't know.
it doesn't really surprise me. I think it's pretty. It is not too surprising. There are a lot of darker areas and worlds, like Monstro and Halloween Town and
Traverse Town.
Traverse Town and Atlantica. I think all of those are pretty dark. But there are some relatively brighter worlds, at least like the city part of Agrabah. The whopping majority, like the outside area of Hollow Bastion.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any others standouts.
Yeah,
I would think the outside of Destiny Islands would be pretty light.
But the caves.
Yeah, the
But
caves.
Oh, the cave and the shack. Okay, yes.
Are almost
shack.
unbearable. Shack is tough.
And plus, the whole like final day you're at Destiny Islands takes place at night.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess in that regard, it gets a little better with the camera. With your issues with the camera, I'm sure you've experienced in KH2 and 3, the camera controls do get better. It just takes some time, and there are
believe it or not. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there are some exceptions to that. Well, I wouldn't say worse than KH1, but just a step in the wrong direction compared to previous entries in the series. And I'm sure Ryan will agree with me, like Birth by Sleep's camera isn't the greatest.
It's not as good as 2. So believe it or not, Dylan, this is the remastered version of 1, like you said. This is 1 HD.
Final mix.
It was worse in the original release.
Do
you want to know how you can? Do you want to know how you controlled the camera?
Yeah,
You move it right with R2. You move it left with L2.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember. Yes, I rember that.
I still have a copy of that.
I remember that.
I do too.
I remember now that you said that. Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah. So they fixed it, and it will progressively get better. I would definitely say, for me, Kingdom Hearts 1 is ambitious. It's like there are a lot of really good ideas there, and it's a game that I grew up not loving, but as I've revisited, I'm like, oh, I didn't really appreciate this. It is clunky. It is old. And it is honestly kind of inspired. There are a lot of mechanics that you can get into, a lot of the abilities and such, a lot of the environments. It's really interactable, which is something that you actually don't see for the rest of the series. Is like the environments you can really interact with, and it's like, oh, there's a fireplace there. I'm gonna use fire on it, and that actually does something. You don't see that with the rest of the series. So it's definitely an interesting experience, and it tells a kind of full story for the most part. A bit of a cliffhanger, but it's a kind of humble beginnings. You have Riku, Sora, and Kairi, and they're all getting along, and they all have their own story, and it's a good experience.
Yeah,
also, Magic is a broken build. I know you mentioned you chose your thing, but Magic is like the best by far.
Yeah, Magic is. Oh, you mean like picking it at the beginning of the game?
And that's gonna be true for every game that I'm aware of, except for 3 on specifically critical mode.
My thinking with that is always, like any game, not that I play much, but when I do get a choice like that, I stay away from the mage types. I usually go more towards like the knight archetype. I'm always like more of the fighter type of character. I always prefer that. I feel like they're always more well rounded. But yeah, that's where I'm at so far with that. But
I mean,
Well, the
I
reason
think...
the reason I'm actually gonna say that is because the thing you choose affects what abilities you get, and
Mhm.
actually the abilities that the mage build gives give you better combos, physical combos, earlier than the sword,
Yeah, it
which
controls
isn't what
like
you would expect.
the order you get the abilities.
mm.
Yeah,
So
you'll still
an
have them
ability
all by
you
level
get
100.
an ability you get at like 75 if you pick the warrior, you might get at 30 if you pick mage, or like 50 if you pick uh like the defense or shield, which is usually what I pick.
Yeah. So the ones I'm thinking of specifically, you go unlock really early as a mage is actually an air combo finisher that puts you back on the ground quicker and hits like a train. Combo finisher that stuns enemies, has a 30% chance of activating and has a big AoE, and then another one that has a 30% chance of activating that does damage based on your magic stat, which should be pretty high if you choose magic.
So yeah,
So
I
it's
know.
just unfortunately way stronger, and there's no reason. But no.
Right.
So
See, I know more about KH2 than I do KH1 with gameplay
yeah,
and
that's just
abilities
something
like
that
that.
struck me in my last playthrough.
Yeah.
So John, why don't you give us the elevator pitch, brief explanation of KH1 story?
Oh, the story. Okay. I was interested in where you were going with that. So I'm going to try to make this as simple as I possibly can. Ryan knows that this is going to be
We want the
difficult.
elevator pitch, and I know it's complicated. I'm challenging you in your knowledge.
Elevator as in like very quick.
Yeah, quick.
Not necessarily, but yeah,
As
Uh,
concise as you could like
brief
reasonably
and
make it.
effective. Yeah.
Classic light versus darkness story about a kid trying to find his lost friends by traversing through different worlds, each based off of a different Disney property or Disney cartoon film, with Final Fantasy characters sprinkled throughout. That
Yeah.
sound like a good pitch?
Yeah,
Ryan,
I would
let's
add
hear
a
your
little
version.
I
more.
mean, I can add more to it, but
Ryan, let's hear your version.
Coming of age story. There are three close friends who have a sheltered life. They want to go out and see more. There's a magical event that separates them but allows them to go and see all these different Disney worlds in Final Fantasy. Your main character Sora is looking for his friend Riku and Kairi. Kairi seemed to disappear. Riku absorbed the darkness and disappeared, but in a different way. He meets Donald and Goofy along the way, who become his trusty companions. He gets a legendary weapon called the Keyblade that King Mickey told Donald and Goofy to seek after. And after a lot of exploring, they end up, finding their friend as well as a kind of mysterious plot.
So I have a question before we really get into the nitty gritty of it, and I feel like it sets us up for what we're going to be talking about. Where does the inclusion of Disney as an idea? Why does this come about? Why? When does Disney get involved? Why do they get involved?
I know why. So Ryan knows full well that a certain video game company back in the late 90s, I think it was, made a video game called Super Mario 64, or a game console called the Nintendo 64, believe it or not. And Square Enix saw that and they were like, oh my gosh, we need something to like capitalize on the whole idea of like, I guess, platformer RPG-esque thing, JRPG rather. And they were like, oh, let's go with Disney characters.
Because
And
they
were
thought the
like,
mouse was the only one who could compete with Mario.
exactly. So they were like, hey, let's go Mickey. And then when they asked Disney about it, they were like, no, let's go Donald. Disney wanted Donald. Square Enix wanted Mickey. They compromised and made Sora.
Yeah, and there are a couple interesting things about the partnership. Mickey is in one scene in the game for I think probably
Yeah,
5 seconds.
beginning, right?
No,
Probably
at the
even
very end.
yeah,
Oh.
very
And you
end of the
don't see
game.
his face. You don't see his face. He's facing away from you. And this was because they did not have confidence in Kingdom Hearts.
I think you see the side of his face, but that's about it.
Yeah, yeah. You don't see him head on. They did not want to include Mickey in the game because if it was a flop, they didn't want it associated with Mickey.
That's
Um,
insane.
So the way these properties are included is that Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, and like the people of Mickey's world, are kind of like. So if we look at the Disney World as a multiverse, they're kind of like the universe, like head universe in charge of protecting all the universes. And so they recruit Sora to this end, and so it's their job to keep the multiverse. And Sora also needs to, for his own purposes, explore this multiverse because he has no idea where in it his friends are. It's
Yeah.
kind of where Disney comes in.
Well, I wouldn't call them separate universes. I would call them like separate worlds. At least that's what they use in the game. But
That's what they use in English. In Japanese, the world it's the same word they use for universe.
oh, that's weird.
Yes. Well, because they're completely interconnected, and that's why Mickey's realm kind of is the only one capable of traveling between them. And it's not like the stars in the sky, really. Well, it kind of is. Like
I think
said,
yeah, it is. That's Twilight Zone.
No. Each star is its own like universe. Actually, is what it is. But like these
Alright.
people can't just fly out there. Hero from Big Hero 6 can't just like make a rocket ship using this technology and fly these places.
Fair enough.
So, let's get into it. So, like I said before, obviously very limited knowledge base of this franchise. I know the character names. I don't know how they interact really. I have some phantom memories that are starting to come back from KH2 that we can get into, like running the paper route and stuff like that. I remember that.
Okay.
So here's what we have planned for tonight. So I'm going to take more of a backseat tonight and sort of throw out some interview style questions to these boys and have them give you all the good stuff here. So just start out here. Start with Ryan. Thoughts on the Union X game? Likes and dislikes.
So I played it for probably 30 minutes and was like, oh, I don't want to play a Kingdom Hearts phone game. This is not what I signed up for when I played 1 and 2. And so I dropped it. And I never looked back. And I have not watched the cutscenes. I haven't watched back cover, which is a 3D rendered summary of some of the events that happen in it. All I know is that a lot of the characters show up in the past, including characters we know, even though they're in the far future. It doesn't make any sense to me. And there are different unions, and there's this guy called the Master, and he's looking like he's going to be the next major villain, and I know very little about him. And it's kind of ridiculous that Square Enix expected their fans to follow this phone game. Because it is vital. There are pieces of the story that I'm just missing.
I may go off.
John, let's hear it.
So I picked up the phone game, and I beat the phone game.
Wow. The duality of man here.
Yeah, there's like 900.5 levels, and I'm going to explain to you why Ryan dislikes the game and why I also dislike the game. So here's the way the game works. It's 2D. It's like a point and click kind of thing. You like point and your character moves there. And in the same capacity as Chain of Memories is, you run into a Heartless, it'll like create like a battle scenario, I guess, where it's like turn-based, sort of.
Yeah.
The gameplay is extremely, criminally repetitive to the point where you play like 50 levels and you're like...
And it has gacha mechanics. Classic.
Yeah, and it has, pay to win mechanics. That I'll touch on in a second. The cutscenes are actually idiotic because they're all just like text bubble things, and you have to like tap the phone to like continue the cutscene every time. It's just criminally terrible. The reason why I think it's pay to win is because, well, it's pay to win because you get different attacks or special attacks rather, and you have to pay to get them, or you can earn like credits in the game.
Premium
Buy them.
in-game currency, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like any other mobile gacha app.
I just got the premium currency by doing shit in the game. I didn't buy it any, and I was still able to beat the game. Albeit there were a plethora of players out there that were better than me. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I just cared about being able to beat the game and get the story content I needed out of it. I think if anything else. Yeah, the story is ridiculous and confusing. The whole characters from like the present day Kingdom Hearts appearing, they're completely confusing, but at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, they kind of time travel at like the end of the game to where they kind of end up in the present day. It kind of makes sense. It's still kind of stupid, to be completely honest. And then I'm trying to think of everything you touched on, Ryan. The back cover film on 2.8. I would say if you're like thinking I'm never gonna play or watch the cutscenes for this phone game, I would say at least try to watch that film. What was it, 2.5, 3 hours?
Yeah, it's like 2.5, 3.
It is way more tolerable to sit through. It is way more tolerable to sit through, and you get pretty much all you need to know. The Master of Masters.
They're also... Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the Master of Masters is like, I guess, the leader of all the Keyblade wielders back in the day, as well as it's like a hierarchy. Like there's the Master of Masters, then a whole bunch of union leaders that like report to the Master of Masters, including Lucio, who's like the same level as them but not a union leader. And then there's all the Keyblade wielders that I guess are in the different unions. You're in one of the unions of your pick. And the Master of Masters is like, hey, you know that Keyblade Xehanort uses in the Kingdom Hearts games? I'm gonna go ahead and put my eye in it.
Yeah.
He does that.
And it can see through all of time.
Yeah, so you can see through all of time and make the Book of Prophecies. I know I'm diving into the story maybe too much.
Yeah, we're getting a little long-winded here. The point is that so there's this
garbage.
The biggest event in probably all of Kingdom Hearts is this event that happened a long time in the past called the Keyblade War. And it was a war between a ton of Keyblade wielders. And this takes place and gives the history of everything running up to the Keyblade War and contextualizes it and sets up the people who were major players in it.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's a lot of lore.
Well, we have a nice little segue here talking about story here. Kind of want to hear from you guys. John, we can start with you. Some of your favorite story beats throughout any of the games. Whichever one you want to go with, we can roll with it. Yeah, just kind of take us through what you like.
Favorite story beats. I'm sure Ryan will have similar opinions to mine. At least I hope he does. So, Kingdom Hearts 1 to the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, chronologically speaking, is my favorite story beat. So, what I mean by that is, like, Sora's journey, how he... Spoiler alert, fellas, how he sacrifices himself for Kairi, becomes a Heartless, comes back, goes through the events of Chain of Memories, finds out in Kingdom Hearts 2 that he has a nobody. That very nobody goes through and becomes a member of Organization 13, a group of bad guys, to keep it simple. And his adventures in the video game 358 over 2 days, just so good. And then just everything that happens in Kingdom Hearts 2 is just so well made and good. It is criminal. It is so really...
Yeah.
I don't know how to express how much I like it. But I really like it. trying to think if there's any other highlights. Birth by Sleep's neat with the story. Dream Drop is a mess. KH3 is like the Rise of Skywalker. Like they're given such a terrible prequel
Hey,
to
in my world, Rise of Skywalker is a good thing.
Okay, well,
In everyone
I'll
else's
actually
world,
defend 3 when we get to it.
3 was just given like a bad prequel to follow up from, but does the best that it can. And I mean, it does. I'm not saying it does a bad job. By no means am I saying that, and I'm also not saying Rise of Skywalker did a bad job. I'm just saying
it really
they
sounds
did
like you're saying that. It really sounds like you're saying that.
I'm a
Well, it
fan of
means they
Kingdom
got
Hearts
it that
3,
way
and
up.
I think both that and Rise of Skywalker did a good job.
Fair enough.
Remind, fantastic. Melody of Memory, it's cool. It's kind of funny at times in the sense of I'm not taking this seriously, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I think, and then the mobile game, yeah, ridiculous, just like Dream Drop. I think that is my opinions. So go ahead, Ryan, when
So,
you're
yeah.
ready.
First of all, I love the setting up of the rivalry between Riku and Sora. Sora obviously being very jealous of Riku, and Riku teasing him that he's gonna kind of steal Kairi away from Sora. Love that. Gain later on into the game, them saving Kairi, Sora sacrificing himself for Kairi. Very, very good. Riku then basically helping him save the universe once he's gotten the crap beaten out of him and come to his senses. Essentially stranding himself in the multiverse's version of hell for a while. Very cool. Chain of Memories, very confusing. Not my favorite. Love what it does with this character Naminé, who is someone who wants to feel but can't, essentially, and is very lonely, but wants to be friends with Sora because she's kind of made from Kairi, so she knows she wants to be friends with Sora. Interesting stuff. Days is very good. There's this character, Shion. Probably my third favorite character. I really like Sora and Kairi. Shion is awesome. She meets these characters, Axel and Roxas. Very good. Some of the best character moments in the whole franchise altogether. And she realizes that for her and Roxas to continue existing, that means that Sora could not. And so she takes it upon herself that for the good of the multiverse, she needs to take out her best friend and herself to bring this kid who's capable of saving the multiverse back. And the way she has to go out is especially brutal because it means that everyone would forget her. And it is kind of awful. And so then 2 comes around. There is this evil organization. They're in Chain of Memories, some of them. And probably my favorite story beat, one of my favorite story beats, is halfway through the game, the organization reveals, oh, yeah, one of our goals, our actually primary goal, is to collect the Hearts of Heartless. So every Heartless you kill helps us. And this is immediately after they make you kill 1,000 Heartless.
Yeah.
And then they keep making you kill more. It is kind of really good. Then Sora and Riku are reunited. That's a great moment. Sora and Kairi are reunited. That is also an excellent moment. I wasn't that big of a fan of Birth by Sleep, but come on, The Lingering Well, that's a good moment. A character's body gets taken from them, but their will stays inside their armor, and their armor possessed by their will kicks the crap out of their own body possessed by this other person. Ventus is whatever. Aqua's really cool. Dream Drop Distance is universally stupid. I don't like it. And then 3. On to 3. The fact that they kill every character is really dope, but then they take it back with time travel. But there's consequence to the time trial, and this gets to the kind of end of the franchise, this arc. Sora dies. Like, he dies. He fades from existence. And you've heard of Kingdom Hearts 4. He, in this trailer, is with a girl from the phone game who we saw get murdered. They're in a version of the afterlife. Sora is dead. And he's told in the trailer, you can leave this world, but don't expect to go back to the one you came from.
Mm-hmm.
So, like him kind of sacrificing his existence to turn back time and save his friends, pretty cool.
Pretty cool,
Definitely.
Joker.
Definitely. And we can definitely touch on that a little bit when we come around to Kingdom Hearts 4 and what you guys think of that. But, Ryan, I want to go back to, I would consider you more of a technician than John and myself when it comes to video games. It just seems that way. I want to talk about your guys' thoughts on what are some of the better game mechanics from the franchise, and also maybe at the same time some of your favorites or some of the most effective that you found. Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, one started with a incredible foundation, but there's not really too much to talk about. There's plenty of customizability, so they're really cool mechanics. Like a lot of people don't know, you can customize the AI of your teammates. You can make it so that Donald heals you more, which is the number one change you need to make. And there are combos, there are things for offense builds that actually like use magic. Like there are physical combos that take magic. That's a really cool mechanic for a physical build. But in terms of like what the game has to offer, I really like the Coliseum. That's a great kind of time killer way to challenge yourself. And there are 3 ways to do each cup. Where standard, you just go in with Donald and Goofy, you fight. Time trial, where you need to do it so quick, and also just do it with Sora is the third option. No teammates. And then the boss fights are really enjoyable. Days didn't have the best gameplay. And I've actually heard that it's mission based, so you go out as Roxas and you do a mission, and then it plays a cutscene and rinse and repeat for 358 days. I've heard it argued that the game being boring is actually enhances the story because it puts you in Roxas's shoes, where he just wants to get done with his workday and go to like this place and hang out with his friends. It gets you in his mindset. Chain of Memories is the only game I have ever played that I didn't enjoy a single moment of gameplay. It is awful.
Wow.
It is really bad.
Those are some significant words there.
I have never disliked playing a video game until I got to Chain of Memories, and I hate saying that because I do like the story, but it is awful because you can set up these combos and then basically it's card based. It's kind of like one, but you use cards to attack. But an opponent can always just throw out a 0, which breaks any card. Because like you can, if you play a higher number card or like combination of cards, you'll break the enemy's attack. If they throw out a 0 breaks everything and is broken by everything. They can just stop what you're doing, and they can do it at any time. Really, it's awful.
Before you continue, you want to know something funny?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think Ryan, I was telling you this. The card mechanic, just the mechanic itself, I remade it in a Python program, and from what I can remember, with like maybe like 5 to 10 lines of code, I fixed the issue with the zeros.
Really?
I made it so ones can beat zeros.
You mean ones can't be beaten by zeros? Anything can beat a 0. It's just everything also gets beaten by it. So if you activate a 0, you stop the attack. No. This is how it works. If you activate a 0, it stops whatever attack is happening. But then the attack that is being performed by the 0 can also be broken by anything, including a 0.
Oh no, that's
how the mechanic works.
Well, I implemented it differently, like in a war-based card game rather than a real-time game. So
yeah,
I was
and
like,
changes. There's a second campaign that's better, where you get randomized cards. You don't build a deck. You play as Riku. Riku's given a deck. Sora builds a deck. Riku, his randomized cards are honestly more and not having the stress of building your deck is more fun, actually. And when he gets a card that is equal to his enemy, he has a duel. I don't think Sora has that mechanic, but I could be wrong. It's been a while.
I don't remember.
So did not like Chain of Memories, like really at all. Which is sad, but Moving on to 2. This is my favorite game in the series. That's a popular opinion. It has, so the number one improvement I would say is mobility. You have a high jump, a dash, a roll, a double jump. The double jump has iframes and will reflect projectiles for a certain amount of time, and a really, really good feeling glide. It has a lot of combo modifications, so you can make the combos how you want. You can make ground to air transitions. The magic all feels significantly more different and useful. You can make more shortcuts to more easily use your magic. The summons are generally more useful and more interactive. It's kind of the gold standard. There are a lot of crowd control options. There's a lot of single damage options. There's blocks and reprisals. Then there are the drive forms, which are a gauge that is kind of hard to fill that will power up one of your attributes, be it physical, magic, mobility, or all of them. That sacrifice your teammates, and it's kind of hard to fill, but you get absolutely busted power. It's a really good mechanic. Running through the rest of the days, I already mentioned. Birth by Sleep is interesting. You can like build different combos to enter different states. The states are generally very powerful. The magic doesn't all feel useful. It generally feels laggy. A lot of the moves feel laggy. And this is a problem too because a lot of the enemies don't get hit stunned. You can be wailing on them and they'll just decide to attack you. Which is also a slight problem in Dream Drop Distance, but not as much. Birth by Sleep just generally doesn't feel good. It feels like it's a PSP game, which it is. And two of the characters feel significantly worse than the other one. Aqua feels the best by far. And then there are like things like shot lock and finishers that are interactive but very slow and take you out of the gameplay. I don't have a lot of love lost for the gameplay of Birth by Sleep. Dream Drop Distance has a really, really bad mechanic where you will have a timer where there's a Sora campaign and a Riku campaign, and as the timer goes down, you'll just transition to the other one no matter what you're doing, including in boss fights. And you can use items to stop it, but it's still just really annoying. And then to unlock abilities, you essentially have to play with these Pokemon the game gives you. So, like, to get an ability that makes your healing where it can't be interrupted, you need to just play with a cat. Like, why is that in a game? It has a horrible balance. There is a group of magic that's significantly better, and then there's a mechanic called flow motion where you're moving around a lot, have a lot of iframes, or are generally hard to hit and deal a lot of damage. So it's a game where you just kind of end up abusing mechanics to beat it, and it's not really engaging. And the enemies aren't particularly hard. 3 is also a lot of abusing mechanics, unless you're playing on critical and can turn some of them off. It's really samey. It's not that engaging, but it's really fun and flashy, and it has a lot of screen impact, at least. It's kind of theatric. It's like watching an Avengers movie, kind of. But it's not the most fun until you get to Remind, where a lot of it is disabled. It's a lot of one-on-one bosses with humanoid enemies, and it's really engaging. You really need to learn their patterns. It is a challenge, and it's really fun. 3 also adds blocking in the air, which is pretty big. I've heard arguments against it that in fighting games, typically you trade defense for offense when you're in the air, and I've heard that as an argument for 2, and I kind of agree with it, but I also think it's nice. And then Melody of Memories, it's just a fun rhythm game. There's nothing much to say about it. It's just pleasant.
John?
What's up?
Let's hear it.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to not overlap with what Ryan went through. Instead, I'm gonna try to focus on other things that I've noticed throughout each game. Some of the games I'm not too familiar with as compared to others. So, Kingdom Hearts 1, it's cool. I feel like a lot of the physical attacks you do in it are a lot more simple than what you do later on in like Kingdom Hearts 2 or 3. The magic I cannot stand, and let me explain. I think interacting with the environment is really, really cool. I think the actual way you use magic is really, really stupid. So let me explain this. In Kingdom Hearts, well, I'll focus on KH1 for now. So in KH1, to cure Sora, the character you play as, you have to like hit. If you have a shortcut, you have to hold down L1, and then whichever button you have cure on, you have to hit it twice to actually cure. One to cure, and the other to select Sora. That is so idiotic. It is just criminally idiotic and smooth-brained. In Kingdom Hearts, what's next? Sorry. So, in Kingdom Hearts 2, though, that's fixed. I'll get to that. In Chain of Memories, the card-based system is weird, and I didn't like it.
You have to load magic into your deck.
I know.
Is how you use it.
Oh, I was just talking about the gameplay in general, not just magic. Yeah. I played like a fifth maybe of the campaign, and I was like, no, this isn't for me. What I will say though is, and I told Ryan this, I think Chain of Memories literally has the best story in the entire franchise. I think I do, and I think KH2 is a close second, a very close second, and KH1's probably like a very close third.
No days,
but yeah, I'd probably be in there somewhere. I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna focus on gameplay, so that's as much as I know. What Ryan said, some of it, and what I mentioned before, that's kind of what I know. Kingdom Hearts 2 camera is so much better. Instead of being like right up in Sora's grill, you're further back, or Roxas's, depending on where you're at in the game. Much further back. The attacks actually feel like significant, especially nearing the end of the game. They feel so flashy and cool. Like, I can't express how much I love Explosion and Magnet Burst. They're so good. AoE damage. And there's even others, and that's why I really like KH2 as well, is because it gives you the option to pick how you want to handle a situation. Do you want to annihilate that X button and use attacks? Do you want to use a reaction command to kill this enemy or boss? Do you want to hit them with thunder or some other kind of magic? Do you want to use a limit, which is like a special attack with, I believe, a party member of yours? I think. Do you want to use a summon, where you obviously summon a Disney character into the fray? Do you want to use a drive form? Use something in that capacity? Like how you can with, I believe, Zexion, how you can just spam Wisdom Form or Final Form Fire and just beat him really, really quickly.
Oh yeah, Demex, yeah.
Oh yeah, Demex too, yeah. I think if there's any. Yeah, I guess that's it for KH2. I mean, I just think it's a really good game because it gives you the options and nothing really feels too overpowered compared to the rest of your options. It's up to personal preference at the end of the day for that. And that's the game I know most about with gameplay. Days is a weird game. I think it controls better for the kind of game it's trying to be compared to like Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop. That's not to say I enjoy it. The whole day mechanic is stupid. The whole mission mechanic is stupid, but
it's only slightly less clunky than one.
Yeah, I still have a good time with it. Am I ever gonna replay it? Probably not, but who knows? The story, as Ryan kind of touched on, kind of implied, the story is really, really good. Birth by Sleep, it's okay. It and Dream Drop kind of fall under the same umbrella in the sense that the way it works is you have like a deck of commands and you kind of sort through them like a deck of cards, and each command does something different unless you want it to all do the same thing, which is up to you. And that's the same way it works for Magic, and everything gets like I guess once you use it once, you have to like let it reload a little bit, if I'm using the correct terminology there.
Mm-hmm.
Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop work that way. Days works that way. It's okay in Days. It's not too combat oriented until the very end. Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop, It's one of those things where if you're really out of stuff to use, all you can really do is run away, hide somewhere, and just hit them with ranged attacks. Hit a cure when your HP is low and just rinse and repeat. I mean, obviously, and especially with like them not like getting hit. I forget what word you used, Ryan, but like not getting hit physically.
Oh, not like flinching.
Not back. Yeah, no hit stun. Without the hit stun, it's just like hit them from afar and wait for their HP to deplete, and if yours starts depleting, use a cure or Curaga or something.
Yeah.
And that goes without saying for Dream Drop. There is a very overpowered mechanic in that game called Balloon. And you could try to avoid using Balloon in that game if you really want to, but it's like you're purposefully avoiding something specific in that game to try to make the experience a little more fair for the enemies. It's kind of like how I mentioned in the last episode how, you could just not watch part of that in Star Wars or something if you don't like it. But at the end of the day, it's part of the movie, or in Dream Drop's case, it's part of the game, It is what it is.
Yeah. Right.
3 is a mixing pot of a whole bunch of ideas from the previous games. Takes quite a bit from KH2. Takes a little bit from Birth by Sleep, a little bit from maybe KH1. I'm trying to think. The way Magic works is the exact same way it works in KH2, which is each magic uses a little bit of your magic gauge. Cure uses all of your magic, but it cures everyone in your party, which is nice. Everyone in your vicinity, rather, in your party. Works the same way in 3, and it works great. It's very flashy, and I heard the complaint that it's overpowered. I kind of get that, but it is what it is. That's one of my only complaints, is that, and like sometimes you'll get hit by an enemy and you'll be like, well, homie, they were not even in the camera, you couldn't even see them. But that's just like the way the game was made, to have a whole bunch of enemies at once. And usually in like KH2, when you're like in the 1K fight, which Ryan mentioned earlier, where you're fighting 1,000 Heartless, usually only the ones like kind of in front of you or to your side will attack you. And you might get the brief exception of one maybe behind you, but it won't like kill you or anything. But in 3, it kind of does that, which is a little shitty, especially if you're playing on critical mode. But I don't have too much experience with that. 3 Remind introduces so much better finishers, and yeah, it just makes the gameplay really, really good, and it which is really nice. And it introduces like different modes to make it more difficult with pro codes or easier with easy codes, which you've seen me play on stream. And I definitely think you should play KH3 just normally without pro or easy codes the first time, and then upon revisiting, if you want to play it, you can with those. Melody of Memory is a rhythm game. It's alright. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there isn't too much to say, and we already talked about Union Key about it being stupidly repetitive. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. Oh yeah, one more thing. Reaction commands, really good in KH2.
Completely agree. For context, Dylan, these are essentially QTEs mid-combat that are counters to specific enemy moves, but they're also a little more engaging. Like, there's a samurai enemy at one point, and he'll enter a stance, you'll press triangle as kind of the QTE, and then your, like, attack magic item thing will go blank, and then one of them will suddenly go, like, end this, and you'll have to quick flick to it, and press square, and then like you'll quick draw him and kill him.
Yeah, I remember
Yep.
vaguely, playing some boss fights with John, and I remember that mechanic does sound familiar.
It's
something
really
like that.
engaging, and it kind of
Yeah.
like is a way for you to counter specific enemy
Yeah.
moves.
Without spoiling too much, there is one similar in KH2 where you'll like press triangle to start it, and you have to like
Oh, is this the dummy
menu will,
one?
like your menu will like
Yeah, it
have a
freezes
bunch
up
of
your thing.
circles,
Yeah, it freezes.
and you have to like click X on X to
Yeah.
like win the mini game or
Is there
do damage.
Isn't there something where I'm starting to recall? Isn't there something where you have something done to you where your menu locks up, like
Yeah.
it goes gray? Yeah. What is that? Because I remember that.
That is in a specific boss fight in Kingdom Hearts 2 called the Lingering
Okay.
Will.
Okay,
the
that's right. I
most
remember playing this
difficult-
with you.
The most difficult boss in the game. I mean, subjectively, the most difficult boss in the game. So what he'll do is, I believe he'll like shoot you with like an arrow, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I
Yeah,
played
you
his
can
boss.
dodge it. You can dodge it.
Yeah,
but-
it's dodgeable. And either one of two things will happen. He will either make it so you cannot use, I believe you can't use the attack button, and you can't use items or your drive gauge, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's
And
he'll either lock your attack or he'll lock your magic and items.
oh, it's magic and items. Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he'll have like a very tiny bar. Either way, he'll have a tiny bar, and the trick is you have to use what you have at your disposal. So if he locks magic, you have to use physical attacks, and you feel like, oh no, how am I going to heal myself? He drops HP orbs. And if you're like, oh no, I'm going to run out of magic if that's all I have at my disposal, he'll drop MP orbs. So
cool.
it's kind of like just do damage and it'll help. But he'll still attack you. But
yeah.
just do damage, but also be careful. I
Right.
know, I feel like I'm asking for a lot, but yeah, that's what that is. That's what you're
Yeah,
thinking
so-
of.
So in my beginning playthroughs, obviously I talked earlier about playing Destiny Islands. I have made it to Halloween Town. I have made it to
Halloween Town's far.
It is.
KH1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
the
What am I thinking
third
of?
to last
With,
one.
what am I
Like
thinking?
Jack Skellington and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's far.
That's pretty far into the game. I was Dylan, I've
that's
been
what I'm
telling you
thinking of.
this.
How early is it in KH2?
Still pretty far.
Yeah,
What
it's
am
still
I
pretty
thinking
far.
of then? Are you sure? I'm
Yes.
thinking of like with the mayor and everything like that.
Yeah, there's only
Really?
like one other world, and then the final
So
two
if
worlds of the game.
if you have been to Halloween Town, that means you have done Olympus Coliseum,
Yes.
you have done Alice in Wonderland, you have done
I don't
Tarzan,
remember that. I remember Tarzan. I've done Aladdin.
you've done
He's on
Aladdin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agrabah.
So
Maybe I'm farther than I
Tarzan
think.
is like the first third. Tarzan
Yeah.
is the end of the first third, and then you go back to Hall Bastion, and then you get the chance to like do Agrabah.
What? All right.
Um,
describe Hollow Bastion.
Or
Because
not
I
Hall
maybe-
Traverse Town.
Traverse Town.
Okay.
I misspoke.
Man, what am I thinking?
But did you
Interesting.
still? I'm pretty
I
sure you've
definitely
been to
made it to
Hollow Bastion.
Yeah, I think so. I've definitely seen it. I remember what it looks like. I
Have you done Atlantica?
don't remember it.
You would remember it.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
haven't done it.
I mean, of course, I know it's the
Did you
Little
do?
Mermaid, but
Did you do,
the last one I
Monstro?
definitely remember doing. What's that?
Did you do Monstro
Which
with
one's that?
Pinocchio? You're in a
Oh,
whale.
Oh, I've done 100 Acres.
Okay.
Man, maybe I've gotten farther than I thought.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
are more than halfway through the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a
You-
realization.
so
I
if
have
you're-
played way more than I thought.
Yeah, if you're at Halloween
I think
Town, I'm assuming you've done Atlantica by that point. Usually you
He
do.
said he did
have.
Agrabah. He said he
I
did
definitely did
Agrabah.
Agrabah. I definitely remember doing
Well,
Agrabah.
usually you do. What is it? Usually you do Atlantica before you do Halloween Town.
Usually, but not necessarily.
Okay, so you have at least, or at most rather, you have 2 Disney Worlds left.
Wow.
Well,
Contra.
3. Yeah,
Contra.
3, and then,
And then
2.
2 Kingdom Hearts original worlds, and then
Yeah,
that's
2
the end
of the
game.
final worlds of the game.
Wow. I have gotten way further than I thought.
And if you did, I guess at least you would have, after Halloween Town, you'd have at least 1 Disney World, and then the 2 at the end, 2 KH original worlds at the end.
Wow.
So yeah,
Well,
no,
from that,
if you're at
learning all
Halloween
of
Town,
that,
you're pretty
Jeez,
far.
oh man. Wow. Okay. That was a very shocking realization I just made.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wow. That's really interesting. Okay, so all right, let me then talk about some of my favorite worlds. I did like Agrabah a lot. I like Olympus Coliseum. I like playing that. My least favorite world from what I played through so far, which I guess is a lot more than I thought. Don't like Destiny Islands. Don't like it. I don't know if it's because I don't like it because of the stupid stuff that you have to do as far as gathering supplies and stuff like that at the beginning. I really hate stuff like that in video games. I really, really hate it. It's literally busy work. I know what its purpose is. I know
Yeah.
the purpose is to discover the world. I know that. I hate it. It's garbage. Don't like it. Don't like Destiny Islands. I like Halloween Town. I think it's really cool. Like the Olympus Coliseum could be, super dry in a way or super plain looking. Actually, same with Traverse Town. You could just build up like a very default looking city, but I think, from what I remember through my playthrough, there are lots of doors that open, and there's lots of corners that are kind of hidden that have entrances and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool to discover. But if I had
Yeah.
to pick 3, that are my favorite, I think I really like Halloween Town. Never saw the movie, but definitely like Halloween Town. Like Olympus Coliseum. I would say trying to think. What's Tarzan's world called?
Deep Jungle.
Deep Jungle. I like Deep Jungle. I like the vine sliding. That was fun.
Okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, John,
Ooh,
hit us with it.
that'll
Favorite
piss
worlds.
people off.
Favorite worlds.
So you mentioned, first off, you haven't seen was it Nightmare Before Christmas, the Halloween Town
Yeah.
game?
Never saw
movie?
it. Never saw that movie.
Here's my tip. Don't watch it.
Yeah, I won't. I didn't plan on it. Don't worry. Yeah.
I don't think it's a good movie.
That style I don't like. think
Neither
it's
do
weird.
I did not
think
like.
it's weird
I don't
and
like the
quirky,
film.
and I'm not a fan.
I've seen pretty much every film that is represented in Kingdom Hearts, with the exception of Winnie the Pooh, because that's based off of children's stuff. Well,
Yeah.
Even the
more
Dream Drop
child-
Distance ones.
more
Even
children.
the Dream Drop Distance ones. Tron Legacy, Three
Yep.
Musketeers, Hunchback. Okay.
Yep, all that. Yep, it's all on
Alright,
Disney
John.
Plus.
Let's
Anyways,
Let's hear the top 3. Let's hear the top 3.
are we referring to
What's the
just
top
in
3?
Kingdom Hearts 1?
Well, that's all I have knowledge. I want to hear the
Okay.
top 3 in the 3 main games. I want to hear the top 3 in
one,
the
2,
3
and
main
3?
games.
So 9 total. 9 total. Okay.
I want nine of your favorite worlds in any order.
Okay, so I'm just gonna separate and do 3 worlds in each game, and
Okay.
just have it in order
That
from
world's, or that
well,
game's
like,
order.
Yeah, not say okay, Agrabah in KH1 is better than Agrabah in 2. I'm not doing that.
Sure.
I'm just gonna
Yeah,
compare it
I got
to.
you.
So, anyways, top 3. Bastion, which is a world. I'm not going to say when you visit that place, but Hollow Bastion is really cool. Traverse Town, really cool. I want to include a Disney World too, because I feel like those are very low hanging fruit to go with those two. Probably, yeah, probably Agrabah or the Aladdin based world is my third for Kingdom Hearts 1. Did you want me to just dive right into 2?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. For KH2, for Kingdom Hearts 2, I'm trying to like go through like the different gameplay mechanics and the story for each world that you go through. Olympus Coliseum's really good in KH2. I think it's expanded upon brilliantly in that game without getting rid of anything because you still have the cups. Albeit they're probably a little less challenging in 2 than they are in 1, but it is what it is. Anyways, that's kind of diving back into gameplay. What else? Timeless River is really cool in the sense of just going back into like the retro-iness of it. I don't want to say too much for Dylan's sake, but yeah. Third favorite. Oh my gosh, how did I not include this? Ryan, how dare you not let me include this? The World That Never Was.
Yeah.
The World That Never Was is absolute perfection in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix.
Absolutely.
With an honorable mention to Radiant Garden / Hollow Bastion in that game too. Also a very good world. I just didn't think of it at the time. That's honestly probably gonna take Timeless River's spot, but yeah. KH3. There's a lot less worlds in KH3 comparably speaking, at least to 2. KH3, I really like Twilight Town. It gets a huge glow up as compared to KH2, with the exception of not as many traversable areas in the game. You get a lot of areas in KH2 that you can't explore in KH3, but it is what it is. Graphically, it looks fantastic. The Caribbean is absolute perfection as well, because you're like, okay, here's the final boss of the world. Also, here's this giant map of different little islands you could go to and just have your mind go wild, get what you need to upgrade your ship, and find like the hidden Mickeys throughout the game, or find what's on Goofy Love to Find, and it is ingredients. Also, the ship mechanic is just so good. It's very reminiscent of Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah, Black Flag.
Yeah, like Black Flag or Assassin's Creed 3. Third favorite world of that game, probably.
Any shout out to Monstropolis? Shout out to Monstropolis, maybe?
I was actually thinking of the KH original world. Yeah, Monstropolis is kind of cool. If you count it, Scala at Kylum, like I said, that's getting very, very headfirst into some spoilery territories. I just think it's a really cool world, and you really only get to experience it. You experience it very, very little in the base game. You really get to explore it in Kingdom Hearts in the Remind DLC, and when you do, it is so good. It is so enjoyable. I think those are my 3 for Kingdom Hearts 3. Like I said, comparing my favorites from 3 to my favorites from 2 or favorites from 1, I'm not comparing them. I'm just comparing them with each other. So,
Of course.
Yeah, that is my opinion.
So I'll definitely rank mine in the game itself. Once again, not going between games. You'll also notice a very strong bias as I go along. So to start, Kingdom Hearts 1. My first is Hollow Bastion, easily. It's the most expansive world. It's the most engaging. Has some of the best story beats. Number 2 would be Alice in Wonderland. I forget what it's called.
I think
But
it's just Wonderland.
yeah, Wonderland, phenomenal. Really like messes with your mind. Really engaging. Really like weird. Number 3, Destiny Island. Love the whole beach vibes. Love the humble beginnings. Love kicking Riku's ass until it's 99-0 because he keeps score. I'm gonna put that dude in his place. So that's a quick 1, 2, 3 for Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 2, I will say with a high degree of certainty, the best world in all of Kingdom Hearts is the world that never was in Kingdom Hearts 2. It is phenomenal. It's a blowout. It's so much fun.
Yes.
I'm gonna look it up just as a refresher here, because I'm sure that I've seen,
You've
Yeah.
had
images of
to
it
seen
before.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
You
I
recognize
remember
it?
this. Yeah, I remember this.
The second world is Hollow Bastion. It would have taken third on this list if not for Final Mix. But the Cavern of Remembrance and the data battles just bring it up to number 2. And then third would be the Hollow Bastion. It's so much fun. The small town type feel. All the friends, the NPCs.
Did you
The
include Hollow
tutorial
Bastion
talks.
twice?
I did. I included it once in game 1, once in game 2.
No, I mean, it sounded like you said first was The World That Never Was, second was
Oh, did I say Hollow Bastion again?
Hollow
I meant
Bastion.
Twilight Town.
Oh,
meant
okay, I was
Twilight, yeah.
confused.
Yeah. Yeah, so World That Never Was, Hollow Bastion, Twilight Town.
Okay.
And once again, if not for Remind, the second and third would be inverted. But and then Kingdom Hearts 3. So I'm Kingdom Hearts World's 5 for 6 originals versus Disney at this point. That's the bias I was talking about. They're just better made, higher story content. 3 changes that a little. Number 1 is San Francisco. Great world.
Yeah.
Number 2, Caribbean. You said it all. And then number 3, it is very close, and I'm having trouble deciding between 3 worlds. So there are kind of 2 honorable mentions. I think I'm gonna have to go with Toy Box, but it could have just as easily been Monstropolis or Kingdom of Corona, which is the Tangled world.
Oh, jeez. Not
Yeah.
including Scala?
No, I'm not the biggest fan of Scala. But you do so little in it. It's really pretty, but you do
Yeah.
so little in it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I just
So-
Yeah, while you guys were talking, I went ahead and I looked up the KH3 worlds. Yeah, that San Francisco was interesting.
They just make it an open world city. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's literally just like Marvel Spider-Man, except it's much smaller.
Yeah, a bit smaller. Yeah.
Smaller than
Yeah,
that.
It's awesome. It's so good. And those blimps in the sky, Sora can like teleport to them basically.
yeah. I'm looking at pictures of it right now. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how neither of us included Arendelle, which is the Frozen film world.
Awful. There are people out there who I don't fully disagree with who think Arendelle is worse than Atlantica in Kingdom Hearts 1. I don't know if I agree.
What makes it such a weak world?
I'll explain this. So here's the thing: you drop in, and you go up a hill. You get sent down. You get sent into like a very maze-ish cavern, which is almost as frustrating as the Great Maze from Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
It
Oh
looks
my
very
God.
samey and it's hard to navigate.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
very
God.
hard to navigate, and it's not as fun as the Great Maze, which is saying something. You finally escape, and you're like, okay, let's go up the hill. And then you're sent down the hill, and you're like, okay, let's go up the hill.
And then a boss fight happens and
And
the
then
world is over.
and then like a few boss fights happen, and yeah, that's the end of the world.
Why even include a world if it's gonna be like that? If they know, like,
Because-
why are they putting garbage out?
Here's the reason: because Frozen is an insanely popular film franchise, and they really wanted to milk it, and they also really wanted to capitalize on the song. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but like a very, very popular song
Yeah, you can
that
say it.
came
They
from
put Let It Go in the show, and they
in
re-rendered
the
it with Sora, Donald,
movie
and Goofy in
or
the
in the game.
background, and it's wild.
They
Um,
also included before before we finish, they also included Would you like to build a snowman? But here's the thing. How much of the movie Frozen do you know, Dylan?
I don't know. I watched it 10 years ago with everyone else. I barely remember it.
So it was like it was a kid version of the
Anna.
sister Anna who sang
Mm.
that song to her sister. And you hear, "Would you like
Oh
to
yeah,
build
of
a
course I remember.
snowman?"
Yeah, of course I remember that song. Yeah.
Right. So you
Yeah,
hear that as a flashback, and you watch.
she's talking
you
to
watch,
Sora,
Yeah.
and she so it's playing the song, and it's re-rendered in Kingdom Hearts' engine, and they're playing the song, but Anna is also talking to Sora and giving her Elsa's backstory over the song.
So
No,
you're
stop.
hearing,
That's
so you're hearing
bad.
adult Anna talk over her child self singing.
And there's actually a game theory, and I kind of believe it. Even
Me
though I'm
too.
not the biggest fan of the channel, that Disney. So Kingdom Hearts, it's obviously about like controlling the darkness in yourself and like not going down the dark path. There is evidence to suggest that Elsa was going to be the villain of the world. You fight like the big snowman she creates at one point. The ice maze was probably made by her. And like one of the things is like it's made by one of the villains who uses electric powers.
Mm.
And she makes this huge ice maze and it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And so people think that the original plan was Elsa was going to be the villain, and Disney was like, no, 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 you're not
Yeah,
ruining
you
the
can't
image
make-
of Elsa.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't make Elsa a villain. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So they just
Too
messed
much
up
power.
the entire. They just
Too
messed
much
up the
power.
entire world, and now it's arguably the worst world in all of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Terrible. Terrible. So, cool stuff. So before we move on to future of this beloved franchise, all 10 of you, want to hear what you guys would rank 1, 2, and 3 as the best / your favorite. What order? So what is I want to rank the trilogy.
So just the KH1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
let's make some ground rules. Are we going to be doing final mix and remind? Are we including that? I feel like if we include final mix, we should include a remind, and road reverse. If we include remind, we should do final mix.
When you rank these, I will tell you that note what version you're talking about, but you can make it the original if you want to rank it that, or the best version of the game possible, however you want to do it.
Okay.
But just note what you're doing.
Okay, I just want to like.
No,
Make
yeah,
sure we
that's a good
clarified
point.
that.
Yeah, because there's plenty of versions of it. So which version
Right.
you're doing, or what you think is the best version of it, however you want to include it, but got to be a version of 1, 2, and 3. So Brian, let's go to you first. Let's hear the ranking.
Yeah, this is actually pretty easy for me. So I'm gonna be doing all remind and final mix. So it would be
Okay.
two final mix, 3 remind, 1 final mix. It's pretty easy. And I'd also like to note that the numbered titles are better than all of the spin-offs. So those would be the top 3 games
Yeah.
wholesale. Yeah.
John?
Pretty easy for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna have a pretty controversial opinion.
Here we
Crazy.
go.
It's crazy. I'm gonna do.
Here we go.
I'm
Just
also
wants
gonna
to be
do.
different.
I'm also gonna.
Just wants to be still different.
I'm also gonna do the final mix versions and the remind
Yeah.
version for
All right.
the Kingdom Hearts numbered games. So I'm
Cool.
gonna do from best to worst. Kingdom Hearts 2 final mix. Kingdom Hearts 3 remind. Kingdom Hearts 1 final mix.
Wow. All right.
Kingdom Hearts
Real
2 does a
quick.
lot of things right. Kingdom Hearts 3 does quite a bit right, a few things wrong. KH1 is a great starting place, and I don't want to sound too mean to KH1 or 3, so that's where I'm going to leave it.
Do you think any of the side titles beat any of the numbered titles? Out of curiosity. Just
Like
Yeah,
overall,
'cause
or gameplay or story?
Yeah, because I did limit it to.
overall.
Yeah, I did limit it to the numbered titles, but yeah.
I think the numbered titles are the 3 best titles.
Yeah, so
Probably
actually,
not.
this would be okay. I was gonna say we can transition and say top 3 in general, but if you guys say they don't, outnumber them.
Probably not.
Yeah, forget about it.
I
Cool.
mean, there might be like a close fourth for me. I don't
What would
really
that be?
know.
Let's hear the honorable mention. I'm curious what you guys think.
What for fourth?
The
Yeah, like
fourth
if
for
you
me
we give
is-
it a fourth, we give it a fourth spot. The numbers are obviously better. So the first spin-off is what?
This is gonna sound crazy. Melody of Memories. I would rather. So here's my explanation.
Crazy.
Here's my
I know
explanation.
nothing, and I know that's a ridiculous answer.
Here's my explanation.
It
Okay,
is.
I would rather they do something entirely different and do it well than make a crappy Kingdom Hearts game.
Okay.
I would rather play Kingdom Hearts Dance Dance Revolution than play Dream Drop Distance.
All right, John, let's hear it.
Here's my thing. I don't like the story and Melody of Memory. I mean,
Oh, my
the
God.
ending parts, like the new contributions to the story, I don't like.
It's 20 minutes, and it adds very little.
Yeah, but what it does add, I don't like.
Interesting.
He's not vibing with it at all.
I
Alright.
can't say that I am. So, favorites
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts game that is
Yeah,
not
what's-
a numbered title.
yeah.
Uh, I'm trying to like eliminate the answers first. So it's not going to be Chain of Memories. It's not going to be Union Key.
If it's not one of two, I'm gonna kill you.
It's not
I'm gonna
Melody
go
of
to the
Memories.
house and kill you. No, that's not even one of the two. I knew it wasn't gonna be that.
I think I know what you're alluding to. I think it's coming down to Birth by Sleep and Days. Is that correct?
Are you
Or is it
asking
Dream?
me?
Or is it Dream and Days? I'm just
I mean,
curious.
if it was,
I think Days is one of them.
if it was coming between two options, I'd remove the third. It's honestly coming down to all three, honestly. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Days because not only is the story really good, but I can have fun with the gameplay. Birth by Sleep, the bosses are stupid. Dream Drop Distance, you don't use balloon. You're basically tying your hand behind your back.
Yeah. Let me say
So-
this too. This is actually really
Days.
interesting. Days is the only Kingdom Hearts game that has online multiplayer that is a traditional Kingdom Hearts game. You can do missions with your friends, and there are actually like something like 20 playable characters.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's
Wow.
actually pretty cool.
it is.
All right. Sort of wrapping things up here. Obviously, in our time, Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer dropped, what, a couple weeks ago? month
Beginning
ago
of
at
this
this point?
month. Yeah,
Yeah, so
about a
about
month ago.
about a month ago at this point. Just kind of want to gauge your guys' initial thoughts on the trailer and where do we see this going, John?
Well, first I should recommend, if you haven't seen the trailer, please go and do so because you need that to understand what we're going to be discussing. So a lot of people don't like it because it's a very realistic looking game.
It's the very first thing I noticed.
It's
Yeah.
a very hyper realistic world that Sora finds himself in the game.
Yeah.
I think it is really, really good. And I think if they like include a property like Pirates of the Caribbean again, or if they include just another real world, if that makes sense, like a live action world rather,
Mhm.
that they should strive for that hyper realism because they nail it really, really well. And I mean, at the end of the day, you see the whole section at the end with Donald and Goofy there, and that looks more so in line with how they look in Kingdom Hearts 3, or at least Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, and so you get that, which is nice, but you also get that natural progression. And the thing is, it looks that good, and they're literally going to switch to a better engine later.
That was made with Unreal Engine 4. The game is going to
they're
be
switching to
5.
5, yeah. And 5 is going to make it look so much better. Did I answer all of your...
Yeah.
Every part
Just
of your
thoughts about the
question?
trailer.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna go? Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the story is really interesting. Sora's kind of dead, seemingly kind of not. It seems like because of who he is and what he's done, he kind of has a different afterlife. Same with this other girl that he meets. They mention in Melody of Memories that he's kind of in like unreality, which is really interesting. So then Star Wars and Marvel might fall under that umbrella too. That'd be pretty cool. That's what a lot of fans are thinking. A lot of people think that they saw an AT-ST foot in the trailer.
Yeah.
It's a little dubious, but I also kind of believe.
You wanna believe. I wanna believe.
I do want to believe.
Yeah.
And
let's go.
I think the antagonists they're setting up are pretty cool. They have a lot of hype. I'm really happy it's not gonna be Xehanort anymore. Xehanort, his time was done after Birth by Sleep, and they just kept bringing him back. And so yeah, it's exciting. The one thing I'm apprehensive about is not the gameplay. I think the gameplay is gonna play better than 3, possibly better than 2. Is I play Kingdom Hearts for the gameplay, but also for the character interactions. You know, Sora and Riku, their on-screen chemistry is really good. Sora and Kairi, their on-screen chemistry is really good. And as well as all the side trios. If I don't get to see them, like, joking around and just being kids with each other, I am gonna be disappointed. And
You
like,
gonna riot? Maybe
Yeah.
cause a riot?
yeah, maybe. So, you know, depending on how long it takes Sora to meet up with his friends, I might be kind of let down. But that's just me. I know other people don't value it as much, but it, you know, if he's by himself for most of the game, I think that won't resonate with me.
I'll feel like they'll be shooting themselves in the foot if they keep him isolated too long in Kingdom Hearts 4.
Especially a large.
That's.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's why I'm kind of happy as Strelitzia with him. Probably pronounce her name correctly, which is the girl that he works with and finds in that world who dies in the phone game and the mobile game. So that's kind of nice, but yeah. It's like I said before, though, like how if they do live action worlds like Marvel or Star Wars, they should go for that hyper realistic vibe, and I think it would look really good. I'll to include that, but yeah.
Do we want to talk about Yuzora, John? Do we want to even touch that Pandora's box?
It's funny you mention that because we'll probably get the Pandora's box in Kingdom Hearts 4 as well if Hades is coming back.
Yeah, I think I have a nice, neat bow to wrap this thing up. And you guys kind of already touched on it a little bit. Start with you, Ryan. What couple of worlds are you maybe hoping you see or think we'll see here in Cage 4, based on the trailer and based on new properties that have come out of Disney, and sort of what direction do we see this game going? What kind of worlds do you want to see?
Well, I'm actually going to tackle this making a large assumption, and that is that Sora, that there are going to be different campaigns. There's going to be, let's call them the Toon World campaigns with the other normal Keyblade wielders, and then there's the Sora and the kind of real world situations. So for, like, let's say Riku in the gang, I think they're going to be at Moana. I think that there might be a couple other of the Toon Worlds. I haven't really kept up too much with Disney. There might be a Wall-E world. That'd be pretty cool. There could be an Up world.
There's plenty of old properties that haven't been visited yet. You know, it's not just the new stuff. There's plenty of old properties that we haven't seen yet. You know what a weird one would be that just came to my head would be, I guess they don't really do Pixar, huh?
They do.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they have Monsters Inc. They have Toy Story.
Oh, yeah, Monsters Inc. Okay, so two that I actually just thinking about. One would be extremely weird. I don't think they could pull it off, but Cars would be something that would be hilarious.
Silly, yeah.
Yeah, Cars would be hilarious, but I really want to see, and huge fan, my favorite Pixar movie of all time, would like to see The Incredibles in there.
That's fair.
Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Would like to see that make an entrance, especially considering Incredibles 2 just came out in 2018.
Yeah.
So obviously, by the time KH3 comes out in 2019, it's already done. Basically, they don't have time to add it, which is fine. But Yeah, I'd like to see some Incredibles action. I would like to see some cars would be pretty funny looking. Yeah, you said Wally. I like Incredibles. That's the kind of one I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I think Moana's a shoo-in. Luca, Soul. What's the other one? The Spanish one?
Encanto.
Encanto, but that isn't the one I was thinking of. It's the guitar.
Coco.
Coco.
Yeah.
I think Coco has a great chance.
Mm,
yeah.
Haven't seen a lot of these movies I'm mentioning, but then some of the old Pixar vault, like I said, Up, Wall-E. There are a ton of Pixar movies, The Little Dinosaur or whatever.
Yeah.
And then for the real world, covering Star Wars. I think they could do a couple different Marvel worlds, if I'm going to be honest. They could do New York with Iron Man and Spider-Man. They could do Guardians.
I think if we're gonna see something, to be honest with you, Guardians feels like it fits a little bit better.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just because of the group aspect of that, they feel like they gel. They gel a little bit more. But
Yeah.
John, what do you think?
Okay, so I'm gonna go in with a different assumption, one that's based off of current events.
Facts and reality. Unlike Ryan, who's operating in a space of untruth.
Current events, which is rather depressing to mention. It's one of those things where it's like telling someone, hey, don't forget about work on a Sunday night. One of those things. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in with the assumption that Johnny Depp comes out of this court case okay. Because I'm gonna go ahead and
That's how it's looking.
yeah.
Yeah, he
So,
looks good.
yeah, I'm gonna include pirates as one of my hopes for Kingdom Hearts 4. If they want to base it off of the fourth film or the fifth film is entirely up to them. I'm okay with either. But yeah, that's how I feel. I definitely want to see a sixth Pirates film, but that's getting off topic. I think they should do a Star Wars based world, and I think it would be pretty interesting to base it off of Endor
You'd have to do the
and
original, right?
Episode 6.
You'd have to do it off the original trilogy, right?
Yeah, I was thinking
There's
Episode
no
6.
chance they touch the prequels or the sequels.
Absolutely.
I was
no
thinking
chance.
I was
Well,
thinking they should do
also,
the
like,
original trilogy.
Also, though,
Yeah.
tell me that a Keyblade lightsaber duel between Darth Vader and Sora isn't the coolest sounding thing
Yeah.
ever, and then you get a lightsaber Keyblade at the end. Like, come on, it writes
Yeah.
itself.
I mean, here's what I was thinking. One of the biggest complaints about Return of the Jedi is the Ewoks. It could literally just be like, hey, how about instead of Ewoks, we use Donald and Goofy there instead? But, that's just me wishful thinking, maybe a little. I don't know. I think Luca would be really cool. I think that's a really good film, and including it would be smart. I wouldn't be surprised if Moana's there too. It's a good film too. This isn't really a hope, but more of like a I think it's gonna be there sort of thing. But I think Frozen 2 will be there.
Oh God! Please don't let it.
No, please no.
The
Please
physical,
no.
I'm not
physical
saying-
reaction that Ryan just had.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I hope it's there. I'm saying
You think
I'd be
it's going
surprised. Yeah, I'd be surprised if it wasn't there,
to be? Yeah.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm looking at like different Disney film catalog that they have.
Here, let me add something. The world of Final Fantasy 13, 15, or 16. As
Right.
this Final Fantasy property as a world, especially 15, 16, and 13. It could be 12 or below, but those three in particular are really realistic and would work with New Sora.
Okay. I'm looking at the different films we have. Maybe a Tangled world based after the events of Tangled 1, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Maybe Zootopia would be kind of cool. I don't know.
Zootopia.
Furry
Yeah.
Sora.
I'm
Furry
literally-
Sora.
Yeah.
I'm literally looking at on Disney
Yeah.
Plus right now.
So the thing is, the way I took that
Maybe-
angle.
Maybe like
Go
a
ahead, Don.
Lady and the Tramp kind of world, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. I honestly think that I don't know the details about this Unreal Engine you guys are talking about. Of course, I've heard what it is. I just don't know what the technical difference is going to be. But to me, it seems more fitting that when we get to KH4 here, to me it feels like you're gonna obviously have to push some of the new properties, but now more than ever, it seems like a great time to go back and revamp the old looking properties, like you were saying, Lady and the Tramp, and some of that older stuff, that might be a really cool thing to throw into a new game like that. I just don't know. I just right now I don't think we know enough about what it's going to look like and how worlds are going to fit in with each other. Like we see hints of that super hyper realistic world, and then possibly Star Wars, where we see a cartoonish Donald and Goofy. Like I don't know, the trailer. I'm not saying it's all over the place, but like we just don't know enough right now.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
to get a good gauge.
Donald and Goofy are still like in the old world. And as a quick side note, there's only one game that Olympus has not appeared in, and that's Dream Drop Distance, where they go to worlds that no longer exist. I think Olympus is also a shoe-in, by the way.
I mean,
sure,
that's pretty.
Sure.
I felt like that went without saying because we pretty much had a confirmation that Hades was there and that the Underworld's probably going to be there too. And all I'm saying is, come on, guys. Blue version Avatar for KH4. I'm kidding.
Oh, Avatar.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
yeah,
I don't care about that property at all, and I know I'm gonna piss people off saying that.
Is that even theirs? I don't know.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
James Cameron.
Wait. They own Fox.
Wolverine? X-Men?
I forgot. For some reason, I forgot to mention
Deadpool?
that. So Marvel. Anyways, I completely forgot to talk about Marvel. So there's a lot of different areas we could throw Sora and company in for Marvel. I think one that would be really good is Washington, D.C., X-Men Days of Future Past.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something like the Insurrection, to see Sora at the Insurrection. That would be hilarious.
No.
That would be hilarious. Could you imagine what kind of...
I think it's Washington, D.C. that the climax of
Days of Future
Past. Yeah, Days of Future Past.
Yeah, because the Washington Monument's there at the end.
Yeah, I think that's like a really cool inclusion with like everything going on, especially with the time travel-y stuff. With the MCU, Guardians 1 would be just really, really fun if you could like explore what is it? The world they're trying to save at the end. I forget what it's called.
I don't know. I've never seen Guardians all the way through.
The Nova Corps. They're trying to save the Nova Corps.
Okay.
I think that would be really cool. Otherwise, if they wanted to do Guardians 2, maybe just include his father's world, whatever that called. I think there's
diving into 20th Century Fox franchises. There's Alien. There is Avatar. There would be American Dad and Family Guy, which would be hilarious.
That would be so funny.
Narnia. Narnia is a real possibility. Exorcist or Futurama would be really funny. Ice Age, pretty good chance. They could do It's Always Sunny. They're not going to, but oh boy, what
no.
Of course not.
What about Percy Jackson? What about Percy Jackson?
I think the two from what you've named that have the biggest chance of being included is Percy Jackson and Ice Age, maybe Narnia. I don't know.
I actually think Alien has a possibility. Xenomorphs and stuff.
I don't know. Who's that going to relate to?
Oh, I don't know. The thing is that's what I'm saying. To me, you have to
can it be done?
Like what angle?
Can it be done at E10? Yeah, E10. KH3 is E10. Can it be done at E10?
They did Pirates at E10.
I guess.
Barbossa gets shot in Kingdom Hearts 2. They shoot the man and he dies.
Yeah. That's fair, but they did also replace the guns in that world with crossbows.
A real quick side note, and this is a complete sidebar, but it's just something I thought about. You can't change. Can you change the field of view in any of these games? Obviously, I know you can't do it in 1 and 2. Can you do it in 3?
You might be able to on like the PC version. I don't know, but not on console. No, but you might be able to like mess with it on the Epic Games Store version. But you would know that, Dylan. I don't.
Yeah, I just don't remember the settings. I'm just trying to think. I just thought about that.
I mean, I know you can adjust. You can adjust like your camera, like if you want to like have moving right on the analog stick like this. Like this will make it go right or left. Same with up and down. I know you can do that, but I don't think you can do Like you can invert
Field
it,
view.
but you can't. I
Yeah.
don't think you can adjust the field of view. I know
Interesting.
there's a mod out there to make the camera in Birth by Sleep more so like how it is in Dream Drop Distance.
Interesting.
But that's a PC mod.
I'll tell you what, boys. I think you guys killed it. I'm ready to come down to exercise democracy.
We went a
I
little
think
ham there.
Yeah, we did, but I think it well deserved. It's something that you guys really, really enjoy, and something that's going to be obviously going to be around for 3 decades. Yeah, considering KH4 comes out in the next couple of years, 3-4
We'll see.
years.
200 seasons, Morty. 200 seasons.
Yeah, seriously.
People are crossing their fingers for 23, maybe 24.
Oh man, 23. That seems really fast.
Yeah.
Even late 23 seems fast, but I'm ready to take this to a vote, boys. Ready to take it to a vote.
We want to do player 3 first?
Yeah, I think so. I think I don't think this vote should take long. In fact, I don't even think we should have a vote. I think for the first time in our pod's history, I think it's just unanimous. Not only unanimous, but unspoken player
Do we
3.
have a,
Yeah.
Do
We have an
have
unspoken
any,
player 3. Any objections?
No.
Yeah, me
No,
neither.
very, very obviously I'm last, okay?
Yeah, so Brian's garbage. Good talk. Yeah. No, of course I'm player 3 this week. So I think we should just go straight to player 1 and leave player 2 for last. I think we should
okay, that's
change up our format. Just
unorthodox.
reveal who's
We'll just
won
be
and
assumed.
yeah.
So who did the
So
best,
this
me
is-
or John?
So this is really tough. So
do we want to have just Dylan decide this
no, I
one?
can't because we've had to. I want to hear your own votes too, so we can give it
Okay.
the old countdown as well.
Okay.
All right,
We ready?
all right, go ahead,
Yeah.
3, 2,
Two,
1.
Ryan.
Ryan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So we've all been on the same page, but it's not by much. It's not by much. You guys obviously both love the game, so I think this was a nice one that we did and gave it the respect it deserves for sure.
Indeed. Go play Kingdom Hearts if you haven't already, viewers or listeners. It's a good
Or
time.
guy.
Dylan,
Or
or
host.
Dylan.
Or co-host.
Or co-hosts.
Yeah.
Or co-hosts. Definitely go work on it. And if
Yeah.
you don't like it, just mod it. Because
Yeah,
you're
give it
playing
a
it on
try.
PC.
Yeah.
And
So-
also, there is cups. We mentioned Olympus is in every single version of Kingdom Hearts, including Kingdom Hearts 3. There is a mod out there where you can add cups to Kingdom Hearts 3. Very interesting and cool. I don't have it yet, but I will eventually.
Fair enough. So,
So,
okay.
all right.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you some
Yeah.
other time.
Goodbye.
Bye.